offer except that I learnt that Allah's apostle had referred to the issue of Hafsa, and I did not want to disclose the secret of Allah's apostle, but had he, that is the Prophet, given her up I would surely have accepted her. Volume 5, Book 59, number 343, narrated by Abu Masud al-Badri. The Prophet said, "A man spending on his family is a deed of charity." Volume 5, Book 59, number 344, narrated by Az-Zuhri. I heard Urwa bin Az-Zubair talking to Umar bin Abdul Aziz during the latter's governorship, at Medina. He said, Al-Mughira bin Shuba delayed the Asr prayer when he was the ruler of Al-Kufa. On that, Abu Masud, Uqba bin Amr al-Ansari, the grandfather of Zayd bin Hassan, who was one of the Badr warriors, came in and said, to Al-Mughira, "You know that Gabriel came down and offered the prayer and Allah's apostle prayed 5 prescribed prayers, and Gabriel said to the Prophet, I have been ordered to do so, that is offer these 5 prayers at these fixed stated hours of the day." Volume 5, Book 59, number 345, narrated by Abu Masud al-Badri. Allah's apostle said, "It is sufficient for one to recite the last 2 verses of Surat al-Baqarah at night." Volume 5, Book 59, number 346, narrated by Mahmud bin Arabi, that Itban bin Malik, who was one of the companions of the Prophet and one of the warriors of Badr, came to Allah's apostle. Volume 5, Book 59, number 347, narrated by Ibn Shihab. I asked Al-Hussein bin Muhammad, who was one of the sons of Salim and one of the nobles amongst them, about the narration of Mahmud bin Arabi from Itban bin Malik, and he confirmed it. Volume 5, Book 59, number 348, narrated by Abdullah bin Amr bin Rabia, who was one of the leaders of Bani, Adi and his father participated in the Battle of Badr in the company of the Prophet. Umar appointed Qudama bin Mazun as ruler of Bahrain. Qudama was one of the warriors of the Battle of Badr, and was the maternal uncle of Abdullah bin Umar and Hafsa. Volume 5, Book 59, number 349, narrated by Az-Zuhri Salim. Bin Abdullah told me that Rafi bin Khadij told Abdullah bin Umar that his 2 paternal uncles who had fought in the Battle of Badr, informed him that Allah's apostle forbade the renting of fields. I said to Salim, "Do you rent your land?" He said yes, for Rafi is mistaken. Volume 5, Book 59, number 350, narrated by Abdullah bin Shaddad bin al-Had al-Laythi. I saw Rifa'ah bin Rafi al-Ansari, who was a Badr warrior. Volume 5, Book 59, number 351, narrated by al-Miswar bin Makrama, that Amr bin Auf, who was an ally of Bani Amir bin Lu'ay, and one of those who fought at Badr in the company of the Prophet, said, Allah's apostle sent Abu Ubaidah bin al-Jarrah to Bahrain to bring the jizya taxation from its people, for Allah's apostle had made a peace treaty with the people of Bahrain, and appointed al-Ala bin al-Hadrami as their ruler. So, Abu Ubaidah arrived with the money from Bahrain. When the Ansar heard of the arrival of Abu Ubaidah, on the next day, they offered the morning prayer with the Prophet, and when the morning prayer had finished, they presented themselves before him. On seeing the Ansar, Allah's apostle smiled and said, "I think you have heard that Abu Ubaidah has brought something?" They replied, "Indeed it is so, O Allah's apostle." He said, "Be happy, and hope for what will please you. By Allah, I am not afraid that you will be poor, but I fear that worldly wealth will be bestowed upon you as it was bestowed upon those who lived before you, so you will compete amongst yourselves for it as they competed for it, and it will destroy you as it did them." Volume 5, Book 59, number 352, narrated by Nafi ibn Umar used to kill all kinds of snakes until Abu Lubaba al-Badri told him that the Prophet had forbidden the killing of harmless snakes living in houses and called jinan. So Ibn Umar gave up killing them. Volume 5, Book 59, number 353, narrated by Anas bin Malik. Some men of the Ansar requested Allah's apostle to allow them to see him. They said, "Allow us to forgive the ransom of our sister's son, Abbas." The Prophet said, "By Allah, you will not leave a single dirham of it." Volume 5, Book 59, number 354, narrated by Ubaidullah bin Adi bin al-Qiyar, that al-Miqdad bin Amr al-Kindi, who was an ally of Bani Zura and one of those who fought the Battle of Badr together with Allah's apostle, told him that he said to Allah's apostle, "Suppose I met one of the infidels and we fought, and he struck one of my hands with his sword and cut it off and then took refuge in a tree and said, 'I surrender to Allah, that is, I have become a Muslim. Could I kill him, O Allah's apostle?' After he had said this, Allah's apostle said, 'You should not kill him.' Al-Miqdad said, 'O Allah's apostle, but he had cut off one of my 2 hands, and then he had uttered those words.' Allah's apostle replied, 'You should not kill him, for if you kill him, he would be in your position where you had been before killing him, and you would be in his position where he had been before uttering those words." Volume 5, Book 59, number 355, narrated by Anas Allah's apostle, said on the day of Badr, who will go and see what has happened to Abu Jahl? Ibn Mas'ud went and saw him struck by the two sons of Afra and was on the point of death. Ibn Mas'ud said, "Are you Abu Jahl?" Abu Jahl replied, "Can there be a man more superior to the one whom you have killed? Or, as Sulaiman said, or his own folk have killed?" Abu Jahl added, "Would that I had been killed by other than a mere farmer." Volume 5, Book 59, number 356, narrated by Ibn Abbas. Umar said, "When the Prophet died, I said to Abu Bakr, 'Let us go to our Ansari brethren.' We met two pious men from them who had fought in the Battle of Badr. When I mentioned this to Urwa bin Az-Zubair, he said, 'Those two pious men were Uwaym bin Sa'idah and Man bin Adi.'" Volume 5, Book 59, number 357, narrated by Qais. The Badr warriors were given 5,000 dirhams each yearly. Umar said, "I will surely give them more than what I will give to others." Volume 5, Book 59, number 358, narrated by Jubair bin Mutim. I heard the Prophet reciting Surat at-Tur in Maghrib prayer, and that was at a time when belief was first planted in my heart. The Prophet, while speaking about the war prisoners of Badr, said, "Were Al-Mutim bin Adi alive and interceded with me for these filthy people, I would definitely forgive them for his sake." Narrated Sa'id bin al-Musayyab. When the first civil strife in Islam took place because of the murder of Uthman, it left none of the Badr warriors alive. When the second civil strife, that is the Battle of Al-Hara, took place, it left none of the Hudaybiyah treaty companions alive. Then the third civil strife took place and it did not subside till it had exhausted all the strength of the people. Volume 5, Book 59, number 359, narrated by Yunus bin Yazid. I heard Az-Zuhri saying, "I heard Urwa bin Az-Zubair," said bin al-Musayyab, Alqamah bin Waqqas and Ubaidullah bin Abdullah, each narrating part of the narrative concerning Aisha, the wife of the Prophet. Aisha said, "When I and Mistah were returning, Mistah stumbled by treading on the end of her robe, and on that she said, 'May Mistah be ruined.' I said, 'You have said a bad thing, you curse a man who took part in the Battle of Badr.'" Az-Zuhri then narrated the narration of the lie forged against Aisha. Volume 5, Book 59, number 360, narrated by Ibn Shihab. These were the battles of Allah's Apostle, which he fought, and while mentioning the Badr battle, he said, "While the corpses of the pagans were being thrown into the well, Allah's Apostle said to them, 'Have you found what your Lord promised true?' Abdullah said, "Some of the Prophet's companions said, 'O Allah's Apostle, you are addressing dead people.' Allah's Apostle replied, 'You do not hear what I am saying, better than they.'" The total number of Muslim fighters from Quraysh who fought in the Battle of Badr and were given their share of the booty were 81 men. Az-Zubair said, when their shares were distributed, their number was 101 men, but Allah knows it better. Volume 5, Book 59, number 361. Narrated by Az-Zubair. On the day of Badr, Qurayshi emigrants received 100 shares of the war booty. Volume 5, Book 59, number 362, narrated by Ibn Umar. Bani an-Nadir and Bani Qurayza fought against the Prophet violating their peace treaty, so the Prophet exiled Bani an-Nadir and allowed Bani Qurayza to remain at their places in Medina, taking nothing from them till they fought against the Prophet again. He then killed their men and distributed their women, children, and property among the Muslims, but some of them came to the Prophet and he granted them safety and they embraced Islam. He exiled all the Jews from Medina. They were the Jews of Bani Kainuka, the tribe of Abdullah bin Salam, and the Jews of Bani Haritha, and all the other Jews of Medina. Volume 5, Book 59, number 363, narrated by Sa'id bin Jubair. I mentioned to Ibn Abbas Surat Hashr. He said, "Call it Surat an-Nadir." Volume 5, Book 59, number 364, narrated by Anas bin Malik. Some people used to allot some date palm trees to the Prophet as gift till he conquered Banu Qurayza and Bani an-Nadir, whereupon he started returning their date palms to them. Volume 5, Book 59, number 365, narrated by Ibn Umar. Allah's Apostle had the date palm trees of Bani al-Nadir burnt and cut down at a place called Al-Buwaira. Allah then revealed, "What you cut down of the date palm trees of the enemy, or you left them standing on their stems, it was by Allah's permission." 59.5. Volume 5, Book 59, number 366, narrated by Ibn Umar. The Prophet burnt the date palm trees of Bani an-Nadir. Hassan bin Thabit said the following poetic verses about this event. The terrible burning of Al-Buwaira has been received indifferently by the nobles of Bani Lu'ay, the masters and nobles of Quraysh. Abu Sufyan bin al-Harith, that is the Prophet's cousin who was still a disbeliever then, replied to Hassan, saying in poetic verses, "May Allah bless that burning and set all its, that is Medina's, parts on burning fire. You will see who is far from it, that is Al-Buwaira, and which of our lands will be harmed by it, that is the burning of Al-Buwaira." Narrated by Malik bin Aus al-Hadathan an-Nazri. That once Umar bin al-Khattab called him, and while he was sitting with him his gatekeeper Yarfa came and said, Will you admit Uthman, Abdurrahman bin Auf, Azubair and Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas, who are waiting for your permission? Umar said yes, let them come in. After a while Yarfa came again and said, will you admit Ali and Abbas who are asking your permission? Umar said yes. So when the two entered, Abbas said, O chief of the believers, judge between me and this, that is Ali. Both of them had a dispute regarding the property of Bani an-Nadir which Allah had given to his apostle as fai, that is booty gained without fighting. Ali and Abbas started reproaching each other. The present people, that is Uthman and his companions, said, O chief of the believers, give your verdict in their case and relieve each from the other. Umar said, wait, I beseech you by Allah by whose permission both the heaven and the earth stand fast. Do you know that Allah's apostle said, we prophets, our properties are not to be inherited and whatever we leave is to be spent in charity, and he said it about himself? They, that is Uthman and his company, said, he did say it. Umar then turned towards Ali and Abbas and said, I beseech you both by Allah, do you know that Allah's apostle said this? They replied in the affirmative. He said, now I am talking to you about this matter. Allah the Glorified favored his apostle with something of this fai, that is booty won without fighting, which he did not give to anybody else. Allah said, and what Allah gave to his apostle, fai, booty from them, for which you made no expedition with either cavalry or camelry, but Allah gives power to his apostles over whomsoever he will, and Allah is able to do all things. 59.6. So this property was especially granted to Allah's apostle. But by Allah the Prophet neither took it all for himself only, nor deprived you of it, but he gave it to all of you, and distributed it amongst you, till only this remained out of it. And from this Allah's apostle used to spend the yearly maintenance for his family, and whatever used to remain, he used to spend it where Allah's property is spent, that is in charity. Allah's apostle kept on acting like that during all his life, then he died, and Abu Bakr said, I am the successor of Allah's apostle. So he, that is Abu Bakr, took charge of this property and disposed of it in the same manner as Allah's apostle used to do, and all of you, at that time, knew all about it. Then, Umar turned towards Ali and Abbas and said, you both remember that Abu Bakr disposed of it in the way you have described, and Allah knows that, in that matter he was sincere, pious, rightly guided, and the follower of the right. Then Allah caused Abu Bakr to die, and I said, I am the successor of Allah's apostle and Abu Bakr. So I kept this property in my possession for the first 2 years of my rule, that is caliphate, and I used to dispose of it in the same way as Allah's apostle and Abu Bakr used to do. And Allah knows that I have been sincere, pious, rightly guided, and the follower of the right. In this mat later on both of you, that is Ali and Abbas, came to me, and the claim of you both was one and the same. O Abbas, you also came to me. So I told you both that Allah's apostle said, our property is not inherited, but whatever we leave is to be given in charity. Then when I thought that I should better hand over this property to you both, or the condition that you will promise and pledge before Allah, that you will dispose it off in the same way as Allah's apostle and Abu Bakr did, and as I have done since the beginning of my caliphate, or else you should not speak to me about it. So both of you said to me, hand it over to us on this condition, and on this condition I handed it over to you. Do you want me now to give a decision other than that decision? By Allah, with whose permission both the sky and the earth stand fast, I will never give any decision other than that decision till the last hour is established. But if you are unable to manage it, that is that property, then return it to me, and I will manage on your behalf. The sub-narrator said, I told Urwa bin Azubair of this hadith, and he said, Malik bin Aus has told the truth. I heard Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, saying, the wives of the Prophet sent Uthman to Abu Bakr demanding from him their 1/8 of the fai which Allah had granted to his apostle, but I used to oppose them and say to them, will you not fear Allah? Don't you know that the Prophet used to say, our property is not inherited, but whatever we leave is to be given in charity? The Prophet mentioned that regarding himself. He added, the family of Muhammad can take their sustenance from this property, so the wives of the Prophet stopped demanding it when I told them of that. So this property of Sadaqah was in the hands of Ali, who withheld it from Abbas and overpowered him. Then it came in the hands of Hassan bin Ali, then in the hands of Hussein bin Ali, and then in the hands of Ali bin Hussein and Hassan bin Hassan, and each of the last two used to manage it in turn. Then it came in the hands of Zayd bin Hassan, and it was truly the Sadaqah of Allah's apostle. Volume 5, Book 59, number 368, narrated by Aisha Fatima and Al-Abbas, came to Abu Bakr claiming their inheritance of the Prophet's land of Fadak and his share from Khaybar. Abu Bakr said, I heard the Prophet saying, our property is not inherited and whatever we leave is to be given in charity, but the family of Muhammad can take their sustenance from this property. By Allah, I would love to do good to the kith and kin of Allah's apostle rather than to my own kith and kin. Volume 5, Book 59, number 369, narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. Allah's apostle said, who is willing to kill Ka'b bin al-Ashraf who has hurt Allah and his apostle? Thereupon Muhammad bin Maslama got up saying, "O Allah's apostle, would you like that I kill him?" The Prophet said yes.